The unseen gift hidden within pain. In the quiet hours of life, when comfort fades and the noise of the world finally settles, we begin to see what suffering truly is. It is not the cruel punishment we imagine it to be, nor the proof of our misfortune. It is the purest, most unrelenting form of instruction the human spirit will ever receive. We live in an age obsessed with ease. Every invention, every convenience, every small indulgence is designed to shield us from the sting of difficulty. We have mistaken comfort for happiness and distraction for peace. But what comfort hides, suffering reveals. Comfort conceals weakness, suffering exposes it. Comfort breeds dependency, suffering cultivates strength. Comfort makes the spirit idle, suffering sets it ablaze. The Stoics understood this paradox better than anyone. They did not worship pain, but they revered its power to shape character. Marcus Aurelius, burdened by the weight of empire, did not ask for ease. He asked for endurance. "Do not pray for a life without difficulty," he wrote, "but pray instead for the strength to endure a difficult one." That is the essence of Stoicism, to transform hardship into fuel, to meet adversity as an opportunity for mastery, to stand tall in the presence of what others fear. Every great soul in history has walked through the fire of suffering. It is the universal language of growth, the process through which the ordinary becomes wise and the wounded become whole. Pain refines us, like fire refining gold. It burns away the unnecessary until all that remains is truth. If you have ever asked, "Why must I suffer?" stay. By the end of this, you may see that your suffering was never your enemy. It was your initiation into strength, your silent teacher, and the greatest proof that you are capable of transformation. 1. Suffering reveals the self. When the world falls silent and the familiar collapses, you meet yourself for the first time. There is something terrifying yet sacred about that moment, when all the external scaffolding of identity is stripped away. Suffering is not just pain, it is revelation. It shows us who we are beneath the masks, beneath the pretenses, beneath the illusions we construct to survive comfort. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But those words are easy to repeat and difficult to live. It is only through suffering that their truth is tested. When your plans fail, when love is lost, when the future closes its doors, you discover the boundaries of your control, and within those boundaries lies your freedom. Suffering dismantles the false gods we worship. It shows us that wealth, recognition, and comfort are fragile idols. When they crumble, we begin to ask, what remains? What remains is character, the quiet, unshakable strength of the spirit. What remains is virtue, the commitment to reason, kindness, and integrity, even when the world offers chaos. What remains is truth, the understanding that your worth has never depended on circumstance. In my own moments of suffering, I have seen my mind unravel and rebuild itself anew. I have learned that pain does not create weakness, it uncovers it. It reveals the places within us still ruled by fear, entitlement, or illusion. And once revealed, they can be healed. Suffering, then, is not punishment. It is a mirror, a merciless but necessary one. It reflects back the truth of our being, and though it may hurt to see, it is through that sight that we begin to awaken. 2. The discipline of endurance. To endure is not to merely survive. It is to remain steady when all else trembles, to choose composure over collapse, and to transform hardship into mastery. Endurance is a sacred discipline, the quiet art of remaining unbroken while the storm rages on. Epictetus, who knew suffering more intimately than most, was born into slavery, beaten and maimed. Yet from his pain, he drew wisdom. Circumstances do not make the man, they only reveal him to himself. These are not the words of resignation, they are the words of liberation. He discovered that endurance is not passive, it is power in its purest form. Endurance begins with understanding the nature of pain. Pain is not personal. It is not a sign that life is unjust. It is proof that life is real. Every living thing endures. The tree battered by wind, the mountain eroded by time, the ocean shaped by storms. To endure is to participate in the eternal rhythm of existence. But endurance does not mean numbness. The Stoics did not teach that we should feel nothing. They taught that we should not be ruled by what we feel. The disciplined soul acknowledges pain, accepts it, and still acts in accordance with virtue. There is immense dignity in that choice, the choice to continue walking with quiet strength when the weight of the world presses heavily on your shoulders. Endurance is not found in grand gestures, but in the small, persistent decisions of everyday life. The decision to rise again, to stay kind, to keep faith, to move forward. Each time we endure well, we are not escaping suffering, we are mastering it. We are teaching the soul to stand where it once would have fallen. In this way, endurance is not weakness, it is sovereignty. It is proof that though fate may govern events, you govern yourself. 3. From resistance to acceptance. Every human heart begins its journey through pain with resistance. We fight against reality, demanding it be different. We replay what we've lost, we curse what has gone wrong, and we tighten our grip on what no longer exists. But resistance is the first chain suffering places upon us, and acceptance is the key that unlocks it. Seneca wrote, "Fire tests gold, and adversity tests the brave." Fire does not ask permission to burn. It burns because that is its nature. In the same way, life will bring hardship because that is its nature. To resist this is to fight the current of existence itself. The Stoics taught that serenity is born from aligning our will with the will of nature, from saying, "This too belongs." Acceptance does not mean surrendering to hopelessness. It means surrendering the illusion of control. It means understanding that your task is not to dictate events, but to respond to them with wisdom. You may not choose your suffering, but you can choose what it awakens in you. Bitterness or resilience, despair or understanding, fear or faith. When we stop asking, "Why me?" and begin asking, "What now?" a quiet transformation begins. Suffering no longer feels like chaos, but like curriculum, the lessons of life, presented in the language of experience. Acceptance is the moment we stop being victims of circumstance and start becoming students of fate. And once that shift occurs, peace, the rarest kind, begins to emerge. Not the peace of comfort, but the peace of alignment. A deep knowing that life is unfolding exactly as it must, and that even pain has a purpose within the tapestry of our becoming. 4. The wisdom hidden in pain. Pain speaks in silence. Its lessons are not shouted but whispered, through reflection, through endurance, through time. Those who rush to escape it never hear what it is trying to say, but those who listen find wisdom that reshapes the very core of their being. Suffering teaches humility. It reminds us of our smallness, of how fragile and fleeting this life is. It humbles our arrogance, dissolves our illusions of control, and brings us face to face with our dependence on something greater than ourselves. In humility, we become teachable again, receptive to truth, open to growth. Pain also teaches compassion. The one who has suffered deeply will never look at another's wounds the same way. Judgment gives way to empathy. Pride gives way to gentleness. Through our own pain, we gain the ability to see others more clearly, to love them not for their strength, but for their struggle. And pain teaches gratitude. For once you have walked through darkness, light no longer feels ordinary. You begin to thank the morning for its quiet mercy, the laughter of a friend for its healing sound, the simple act of breathing for its gift of continuity. Suffering, paradoxically, deepens joy. It makes you realize that life's beauty is not diminished by hardship. It is defined by it. The Stoics taught that everything external is neither good nor bad. It is our interpretation that gives it power. Pain is no exception. If we see it as punishment, it becomes torment. If we see it as instruction, it becomes transformation. To suffer wisely is to learn to reinterpret the very nature of pain, to see it as a sculptor shaping the soul into something enduring and noble. 5. Transcending the trial. There comes a moment in every human journey when suffering ceases to feel like punishment and begins to feel like purpose. This is the threshold of transcendence, when pain no longer defines you but refines you. To transcend suffering is not to escape it, but to outgrow the part of yourself that fears it. You begin to see that pain was never truly against you. It was molding you into the person you were meant to become. The same fire that once burned you becomes the light that guides you. The Stoic sees every trial as sacred ground. Every obstacle becomes a chance to practice virtue. Every loss becomes an invitation to gratitude. Every disappointment becomes a reminder that peace must come from within. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, a new strength emerges, one that no external event can touch. When you reach this understanding, your relationship with life changes forever. You no longer demand that things be easy. You ask only that they be meaningful. You stop running from pain and start walking with it, listening to it, learning from it. You realize that life was never meant to be painless. It was meant to be profound. This is transcendence, to meet life on its terms, to find beauty in its harshness, and to stand unbroken not because the world spared you, but because you found the stillness that cannot be shaken. The alchemy of the soul. Suffering is the alchemy through which the soul is purified. It burns away illusions, reshapes the heart, and awakens the mind to truths that comfort could never teach. It is not cruel. It is sacred. It is not the end. It is the passage to depth, to wisdom, to understanding. The Stoics never promised freedom from pain. They promised freedom within it. Freedom to think clearly, to choose calmly, to live with purpose even when life feels unbearable. For when the outer world collapses, the inner world must rise. That is the essence of the Stoic path. Every trial you endure is evidence of your strength. Every scar is a record of your becoming. Do not curse the hardships that shaped you. Thank them. They were the instruments of your awakening, the fire that revealed your gold. If these words stirred something within you, share them with someone who is suffering. Remind them that pain is not their punishment, but their passage. And if you seek to walk the path of inner calm, resilience, and timeless wisdom, stay, learn, and grow with Stoic Thrive, where we transform suffering into strength and philosophy into peace.